That's it. Yeah, I think it's official. We are live. Let's see. I always
Hello,
give it a minute
everyone.
because you never know. There's like a delay. All right. So yeah, if you're in here, let us know if the volume sounds good. I think we're good. Make sure we got the rights. Yeah, I think we are good to go. So let's first show this one. All right. You want to intro
Today,
this?
we're
Yeah.
going to be talking about our business fails. This is
Mm-hmm.
something that I don't think a lot of people really talk about because maybe they're embarrassed by their fails or they want to portray this image that they're perfect and killing it. But we decided to make a video on our business fails because we've learned a lot
Mm-hmm.
from those fails, and everybody makes mistakes, everybody has failures, and that's how you grow. If you're
Yeah.
not failing, you're not
Yeah, I
growing.
was gonna say, as a business owner, you gotta just take swings, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So
Yeah.
we're definitely. So what do we have? We have a list of 5 things that we can talk about in this video,
Hmm.
and then if you have any questions along the way, just ask because we can just kind of do it in real time.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna leave right here in the bottom left. You can see we're gonna cover each topic, and so the first one was right out of the gate. When you start a web design business, usually you're going to fall into this category where you just
Hmm.
take on every single person. So, what does it? Do you perhaps mean failures? Yes. Is that right?
Yep,
Yep.
that's what fails
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. So I think the first thing is, yeah, you take on everything. So in our case, we were taking on what graphic design. I was taking on like email troubleshooting, and then
Anything really that people were willing to pay for, we were like, yeah, we can do that, even if it wasn't really our expertise or related to web design.
yep,
We were just like, yeah, because we wanted to make money and we wanted to try to build our business.
yeah,
And I think a lot of people do that, but we started to realize that it's really hard to price these things,
yeah.
and we were just losing so much because people were constantly bothering us for things that really shouldn't have been our
Yeah. So
responsibility.
what we mean by that is, like, for example, if a lot of times people think we were like their IT, person
Mm-hmm.
because we do their website, but that's not the case. But if you start taking on, okay, yeah, I'll help you troubleshoot your QuickBooks into your website or whatever.
Or your
You don't,
email,
yeah,
or
it's really hard to price that stuff because unless you know these platforms inside and out, you're just kind of guessing how long these things are going to take, and when you do that, you're literally losing money because
and then people are constantly bothering you for things that really shouldn't be our responsibility
yeah,
either. Like people were like, "Oh, do you know my password to my email?" It's like, "No, why would I know that?"
yeah, exactly.
But they think that, "Oh, you're just the tech person. You should know all this."
Yeah.
So I think the lesson here is to just focus on one thing,
Hmm.
and you need to build a brand around that and figure out the type of work that you want to
Well,
do.
do you think that maybe it's best to offer multiple services and then figure out what doesn't work and what does work, because you can't know what works right out of the gate. So
I think that if you figure out who your ideal client is ahead of time, then you're going to be able to offer services that they need. Versus if you're just like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do everything, you're not catering to an ideal customer.
mm,
So if you figure out the person that you want to work with out of the gate, you're going to be able to offer them the services that they need and the services that you're going to be good at.
hmm, yep. All right, cool. You want to move on to the next one? That one was just kind of a blanket statement where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
don't take on everything
Right.
because it's
You're going to
hell.
spend a lot of time doing
Yeah.
things that you don't want to do.
Yep. So this one, I was surprised by how well this one worked. So when we were the first few years running our business, we had no like streamlined process or anything along those lines. We
Mm-hmm.
were just kind of, oh, this client we do the contract first, or this one we get the
Mm-hmm.
deposit first. We didn't have like a real system in
We had
place.
no system in place. Every project was different.
Yeah.
And it got really hard to manage.
Mhm.
It was really confusing because we'd be like, okay, what did we do for this person
Yeah.
versus this other client? And then we would forget things and we'd have to go back, and it was just a mess,
Yeah.
honestly. So we decided, let's figure this out. This was
Mhm.
part of our rebrand when we rebranded our company in 2016. That was a big part of it, was figuring out a well-defined process.
Yep.
And it really changed everything because we knew exactly
Yeah.
what we were going to be doing from the get-go.
Yeah.
We had that process nailed down, and of course we refined this over the years, but just having something in place, like this is step 1, this is step 2,
Yeah.
this is step 3, made it so much easier and so much quicker
And then
to complete the project.
I also would say, even if you like, let's say you work with someone you know, like a friend, relatives, anything along those lines, don't deviate from your process. Every time
Oh
that
my gosh, yes.
yes, remember how we would sometimes do like, like bro deals, like, hey, we'll do the website for you, whatever. You don't have to follow this process. Every single time we broke
Mhm.
away from our like process, we always had an issue. Like
Yeah,
it's what 100% of the time, I think.
100% of the time we would have an issue. And I think a lot of that is confidence. When
Mhm.
you're new in business, you're like, okay, I'm going to have this process and I'm going to do this, but then you start maybe questioning things, or maybe you're not getting clients as much as you like, so you start to bend those rules that and those boundaries that you have in place. Trust your gut, trust that you know what you're
Mhm.
doing, and stick to the process because, like he said, 100% of the
Yeah.
time when we deviated from that process, we would run into issues. Often we would end up firing the client because
Yeah.
it just didn't work out.
Or
So,
sometimes we would get screwed too. Like if
yeah.
we didn't have something like well defined in our contract or something like that, we ran into issues. Like
Mhm.
every business is going to run into issues. So
Yeah, that's why we're talking about
yeah.
failures.
So a little shameless plug. If you look in the description, I left a link to our exact onboarding process. So this goes through literally all the forms that we use now,
Mhm.
and we've been using them since 2016, pretty much. Of course, they
Yeah,
change
a
a little bit.
variation
Yeah.
of that. I feel like, right now it's better than it's ever been before
Yeah.
because we've been doing this for a long
And we
time.
do recommend, like, you can get our package, and then what do we do every 6 months, at least once or
Evaluate
twice a
it,
year?
yeah.
We kind of change things up because things do change. Like certain tech stacks might change, so you might need to define that more in your
Right.
contract. Your hosting might change it up. So
Yeah, a good example of that is now we use a lot of different plugins. We have developer licenses for those. So that's something that we include
mhm,
in our package that we didn't before. So that's something that we definitely added to our process and to our contract, saying like this is all included. You're not going to have to go out and buy your own license because we have those.
yeah,
So things like that are going to change over time. So that's a good example.
yep. All right. Next one, I guess.
Next one.
This one was so we did offer social media management. So at the time we were doing what, website design, branding,
And social
social
media
media, and
management.
then were we doing like graphic design too? We were offering that as a
I
service.
mean, I kind of feel like a little bit because it kind of bled into the social media management. We would make graphics for social media.
Yeah.
Um, it was honestly a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was something that I thought would be a good service. And I think that it is for a lot of small business owners, which is who we cater to. They need social media management. It
Yeah.
is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
Well,
doing social media management and doing web design and doing branding,
yeah.
it was impossible for the two of us.
Yeah. And you were doing 100% of it. I wasn't even doing social media management because I didn't really have much interest in it. I didn't have the time because I was hosting the websites, I was doing the development. So yeah, we ran ourselves thin on this service pretty quick. How long did we offer it? Maybe a year or two? I don't
Maybe
remember.
a year and a half
Yeah.
before we were just like, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And it there's a lot of factors that went into. One was the time that it took. That was the main thing. It was just we couldn't dedicate enough time
Yeah.
to doing it effectively. And another thing was it was constantly changing. It still is. I mean, if
Yeah.
you use any sort of social media, you know that you post one thing and it works well, and then all of a sudden the algorithm changes and no one's seeing your posts, and
Yeah.
it's just like a nightmare to figure out. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like having 2 full-time jobs. But a really important factor to why we were just like, okay, this isn't going to work anymore was that the clients that were signing up for it weren't providing us with the stuff that we needed. It was like pulling teeth getting them to give us anything. And a lot of times we would have to like make up stuff, and we didn't really know if this is what they wanted. And it was there was just like no communication. Sometimes they would drop off the planet, and when you're doing social media management,
well, I was going to say, when you
fast.
do that, you're now wasting time with the correspondence between you and the client, and
Yeah.
it's that literally added more time on top of everything else. So
yeah, so it was just
maybe
a really hard thing to
maybe
do.
if we had a better process, it would have been better. So maybe that was on us too, because we
Yeah,
didn't really
of
have a
course.
process for it. So what is this? Yeah, it's no fun, right? Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it just became something that like
we weren't enjoying it.
I wasn't enjoying it at all, and I was like, this is just so much work. And
because there's no creative. I mean, I guess it is creative when it comes to the design of the images, but like
it was really hard to get everything that we needed to make it effective, like to make it really a really effective social media campaign, especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have photography, video. You have to have all of these things. You can't
like
just
a whole strategy.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, and like that was it was like pulling teeth trying to get that stuff. So it was.
And
just
then
not
maybe
for
I could
us.
add on top of that too, because we were doing that. Our social media management like suffered.
Yeah,
so
our own.
We didn't have
channels,
any free time to do the social media management.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So today, what do we do? So we're doing YouTube, as you can tell. Like YouTube is the best platform for this type of stuff. And then that's it. Like we do LinkedIn a little bit here and there, but LinkedIn is no fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, LinkedIn is a joke.
Yeah.
And we have a TikTok. I haven't posted on that in a while, but I do logo designs on that, which is actually very fun for me. It's good practice. So follow on TikTok if you want to see stuff like that.
But yeah, we don't do. I did recently sign up again for a Facebook page. I'm just throwing stuff up there, but I know I'm just wasting my time. So like whatever I post, like I'll probably post this on my YouTube channel if I remember, but I don't. Facebook is not good platform. So all of these, of course, are pay to play. So if you start throwing ad money at it, wow, magically you're going to start getting shown in feeds. But that we don't do any ads. Like we do like the YouTube promotion, just like experiments once in a while. I'll just throw a couple bucks at it just to see. But yeah, we don't throw ads at anything really. So yeah.
Okay, so that was social media management.
All right.
On to the next one.
Yeah, this one was fun for some reason. All right, let's talk about it. Well, why did we decide that we wanted to do this? So we wanted to do you remember what year it was? 2017, 2018?
Gosh, I should have looked it up. It was a while ago that we
we thought it would be a good idea to have like an in-person conference, like web seminar, and have other people in the Philadelphia area like contribute. We literally so with this adventure, we lost money because we booked a hotel and we were ready to pull the trigger. I had to put a deposit down, all of this. And I'll let you finish up the rest of the story. But
so I guess let's like start from the beginning. So we were a part of a networking group like years ago. This networking group no longer exists, but it was a good networking group. I would say most networking groups are horrible. This one was actually good, and I'm kind of sad that it went away. And through that networking group, I met some people that were kind of related in on our space. So like photographers, copywriters, people like that. So I had an idea. What if we all got together and did a conference? Because it would help promote all of our businesses. We could share our expertise in our specific fields and people could learn. I thought it was a really good idea. And I still think it is a really good idea. But the problem was we ended up doing all the work. Everybody was in, yeah, I want to do it. But it's like when you're in school and you're doing a group project and there's always that one person that doesn't do anything. We were the person that was doing everything. Everybody else was doing nothing.
Yeah.
We built the website. We set up, we got the deposit for the venue. We were figuring everything out. And everybody was like, yeah, sounds great. Like, they didn't promote it. They didn't do anything. We were doing all of it beside, on top of, working. And nobody was signing up for it. No, like, it was just kind
It
of
was a flop. It was a
complete
total
disaster.
flop.
So lesson learned.
We learned, but that, I mean, it is on us too, because we were the host, we were the one running it. So we should take on most of the responsibility, but we didn't realize that we had to take on like every single thing. Like, we had to figure out how the food that we were going to do. We didn't put a deposit down for the food, I don't think, right? We were thinking about doing like food. I mean, the whole shebang, like have coffee, kind of like a WordCamp sort of thing.
And it was supposed to be like, we were going to split the duties equally. So it really wasn't on us to do everything. Going in, it was like, we'll split everything equally, but then nobody was taking any initiative to do anything.
Yeah.
So it just, I think the lesson is make sure that you're
if you don't
getting together with good people, and
don't rely too much
don't rely on other people to
do things that you think,
things like, again, I think process would have been really good in this situation. Like, if we laid it out and said, okay, from the beginning, you're doing this and you're going to do it by this date, and like that, I think would have
we also better. I think if we were to do it today, I think the only way to do something like this would literally to be like create videos like on YouTube, promote it, and then actually do ads. I think that's the only way. So we would have had to spend money already on top of everything else, I think, for that to be successful. So, I mean, it's just something we learned. I mean, this is why I make the video, because we did fail at that one bad. Like, no one signed up. We lost the money on the deposit. It was interesting. I was like, I'll never do that again. But what it should have been, and even at that time, we could have done this. We could have done a live stream. It should have been a live stream. So then that way we'd have lost $0, like just taking everybody an hour or two of their day, and then they can move on, rather than, months in advance we were booking everything. So anything else on this one? I think that was a fun one. And I don't think, honestly, I would never do it again. Like, it's not what we specialize in. We do websites. This is a whole other beast, and we learned that real quick.
I just think that we were trying to do a lot of different things back in the day, because we were still trying to establish our business. So I think now we're at a point where we are established and we know what we're good at. We know what we're doing. So we kind of just like, we're not interested in a lot of those things that we were interested in back in the day.
Yeah. And if anybody's here in the comments, if you have any business fails that you want to mention, throw it in the comments, because we're interested to hear, because everybody,
no judgment.
every business fails. I wish more people would talk about this stuff.
I do too. I think that it's important to talk about the things that you failed at, because you learned so much from it. And if you're just talking about all the good things, then I feel like that comes off as fake and, and disingenuous.
Yeah. So the next and the last one is, we ran into this where we would hand off a website to a client, but then what we would do is sometimes we would do in-person or Zoom like meetings to do the training videos on how to update your website. So that was a fail on our end, because the minute they left that that meeting, they forgot everything that we showed them.
So let's back up a little bit. When we make our websites, after we launch, we provide training on how to update the site. So you get custom training videos of your website that shows you exactly how to edit it. Before we started recording those, we were doing meetings one-on-one, either on Zoom or in person if the client was local, and training them, on how to do those updates. The problem was immediately after we left, they forgot literally everything
Yeah.
that we had told them. So, you know, a month down the road, when they wanted to make an update, they didn't know how to do it, and they were constantly contacting us. So
Yeah.
we got the bright idea to record them, which
Yeah.
is something that we should have done from day one. But I don't know why we thought
I don't know.
doing it in person was better.
Well, I still think a lot of web design agencies, they still don't do training videos. Like they just don't do it. Like
Yeah.
I still think it's one of the most important parts of running a web design business. And when we are
Yeah.
selling to a new client or customer, we tell them, hey, we create custom training videos for them. And they're like, wow, that's awesome, because they might have a team. Like if you're just talking to the owner, which we do a lot of times, they
Yeah.
might have a whole like marketing department. And so she could just hand off
Right.
that training video to someone else, even at a later date.
Yeah.
Because
that was really helpful, and that was something we weren't really thinking about. Like, yeah, we're not always going to be training the person that was paying the bill. You know,
Yeah.
we might be training a new somebody that's on the marketing team, or somebody that they hire 3 months after they launch the website is not going to know anything that we talked about because they weren't in the meeting.
Yeah.
So having these videos was great because it's all uploaded to a Vimeo account. We say, here you go, and then they can give that to whoever they need to give it to.
Yeah.
So it was really helpful and so obvious.
I know, we should have done it like so long ago.
Yeah, like after we did like the first client when we recorded, we're like, why were we not doing this from day one?
And then right here in his comment, he's saying that to make more time to make like a generic videos. Have we tried that? Because at first I was like, yeah, let's try to do like generic videos. Like, okay, this is how you update post, but everybody has like a different interface. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say different interface, but different.
Every website's a little different.
Yeah.
So I find it's much more effective to just record that person's website versus making a generic video, because there's always little nuances and things that are different, and they're like, well, I don't see that button, or I don't see this on the page.
If it's like a WooCommerce website, oh god, every WooCommerce is 100% different. So
yeah, so for us, it's been really helpful to just do a screen recording and walk them through the process and break it down.
It doesn't have to be like high-end production or anything. It could even just be Loom. So you can install like the Loom browser extension and literally just within a couple minutes just say, hey, this is how you update the hero section on your home page. It will take you just a few minutes. So that goes a lot further than nothing, I would say. So
yeah, and I think it's so much easier to show a video of how to do it than to try to type it out, because that's something that I considered doing. Like, we can type out the steps, but people need to see it.
So what's cool now, you create the video and you could probably throw in like a ChatGPT, and then it can go through and be like, here's the steps. I mean, that's something that we're experimenting with, maybe, is for a blog post or even for our videos. Like it could break down and be like, hey, click here, 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 here.
Yeah.
I don't know how great it is. Like I haven't really fully tested it, but yeah, there's even more automated ways to do these things. But
yeah, so I guess the lesson is to just record everything.
Yeah.
Even
but we throw it into the price basically. But we've also gotten a lot better and quicker at it. That's why we make so many YouTube videos, because it's kind of like, honestly, it's practice for us. So that's why a lot of times I create videos, because it's kind of like, I would have had to make this video anyways for a client, so let me just make it and then you can share it. So like on our channel, for example, one video that I created like a while ago was like how to add Google reCAPTCHA to your Elementor forms. I would say almost half of our clients ask at one point, hey, how can I add this to our website? Yeah. I have a YouTube video already made for that, and I just throw them that video, and then it's a win-win, because I'll get, a little bit of the ad money. So it's great. It's honestly, creating the YouTube videos as tutorials for certain use cases for our clients has helped a lot. And then even I reference back to them sometimes. So I know it takes time. That's the hard thing, is figuring out the time, but we do budget that into when you sign up for us. We kind of already know, hey, we need to dedicate like a whole day to create videos. So
yeah, sometimes, depending on the project, sometimes you make a lot of videos. Sometimes you don't have to make as many.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes it's just like an hour or two.
yeah,
Sometimes it could be
it's
a chunk
so
of the day.
helpful to
Mhm.
just make the videos, and the response that we've gotten has been really good. People are like, these are really helpful. Thank you so much for showing me how to do this, because our clients like to go in and be able to update things themselves and not have to rely on us.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that was yeah, those were the 5 things. If there's anything else, any questions or anything, let me see. Is there anything else to the list that you wanted to mention?
I mean, we could go on for a really long time about everything that we've failed at, messed up at, because we've been in business for 10 years, over 10 years, and we've done a lot of stupid things and made a lot of mistakes. So we could go on for a while, but I think these are like the 5 big
Yeah, there's
ones.
the ones we kind of thought of.
If
Yeah.
I would take a guess over the years, this has been the 5 things that really I feel like have been pretty major fails, but we've learned so much from them.
I almost feel like we could do a whole video on just like the billing, like all of the billing failures we've had, because I know we mentioned that before in other live streams where we were doing like payment plans and all of these weird things. So that could be something that we explore in the future, is like the billing aspect of it, because you could even see right now on our website, we're offering a $99 web design package. This is not a lot of people in our industry are doing this. So we found a very efficient way to build out websites. So we want to help out small business owners as much as possible. That's why we're doing this package.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's because we have learned. I wouldn't say failed so much, because you kind of learn as you go, like, hey, this package didn't work. This type of monthly plans was too complicated. Let's tweak it a little bit. Yeah.
Or things work for a certain amount of time, but then things change and you have to adjust.
Yeah.
So
so what is it? One piece of advice: people just starting up, like a web design.
Figure out your branding. Mm-hmm. Branding is the most important thing to any business. I don't care what anybody else says. Yeah. It's the most important thing. Figure out who that client you want to work with is. If you figure that out, you will know exactly what services to offer to them, how to price those services, how to market those services. That's the most important thing. Don't be like us and say, I'm going to take on every project, every client. You're going to get burned out. You're going to work with people that don't respect your time, don't respect your boundaries. Figure out who that ideal client is before you start to do anything.
Yeah. I would say what you just mentioned, the boundaries. That took me a while to understand that when someone calls you up and wants your services, you're in control of the conversation, how the flow is going to go. Like sometimes we talked to someone a few weeks ago where very like alpha male energy. This guy was like, no, I want it done this way and this way and this way. I'm like, no, we're not going to work on that, because
that's not how we do
that's
things.
Not how I'm going to create the website. You can't just tell me how you want everything. Like it has to go a certain way for this to work. So definitely don't be afraid to say no. I know that takes a lot of confidence and time, but we say no a lot to clients because we've learned with all the red flags over the years.
Yeah. And I promise you, if you start saying no, you're going to start getting the people that you want to say yes to.
Yeah.
Because trust your gut instinct. Like we said before, whenever we've deviated from our process, it has gone south.
Yeah.
So if we just trusted ourselves and said, no, this is not the ideal client, it would have saved us tons of time.
What she means by that, like, let's say at that time, let's say we were offering a website for, I don't know, what, $2,500. Let's say that was the service. And then let's say we had like a bro deal or someone we know, like, you know what, we'll do it for $1,200. But then that turns into more work than a normal $2,500 website. And now we are wasting our time and money trying to catch back up to where it should have been. And that's because we deviated from like the whole process,
I would say like another good example of that is like we have a process for like how meetings go, how everything goes. And some people are like, well, can we meet in person? Can we do a Zoom? It's like, why are you automatically we haven't even signed a contract. Why are you deviating from the process? So just if something feels off, it usually is.
Yeah.
And there have been times where we've worked with people in the past where we took on, she wants to meet in person because she likes face to. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
We can do
exactly.
that, and then the person turned out to be a psycho.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
you just trust your gut.
hmm Oh yeah. So yeah, right here, able to say no starting 6 years ago. Got a lot better. Yeah.
Good.
That's
Yeah.
a good thing. Yeah.
I think everybody goes through this. This is not an uncommon thing. No matter if you're in web design or any other business, you have problems saying no. You want to please people. You want people to buy your services and your products.
But yeah, see,
it's hard.
I was the person who wanted to say yes to everything because I
Mhm.
came from like the corporate world where I had a boss who literally just said take on every project, and so we were working with the worst type of like clients.
And always working.
Yeah, and it just I didn't understand that. Oh, if you just say no, you're going to be so much happier, and people will still like respect. I don't know where I was going with this, but
people respect you more if you have boundaries
Mhm.
and you say no to things versus if you're a doormat and you just say, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
yeah, you're
I
going to
can
get
do
walked
that.
all over because then they're going to be like, oh, I can get them to do it this way and this
And
way.
you're going to start to hate
Mhm.
work. And that's not why you started a business. You started a business because hopefully you wanted to not work for someone else
Yeah.
and have to deal with all the things that happen when you do work for someone else. So
Yep. All right, cool. I think
that it?
that's
Any
it.
more
I think
questions?
yeah. So this was 31 minutes. Not too bad, huh?
Not too bad. It goes by so fast.
Yeah, I know. I know. Sometimes with the live streams, I'm like, we don't have enough to talk about. But I was like, there's no like predetermined length of your live
Yeah.
streams. They could be 10 minutes or 10 hours.
But I feel like we've just been talking for 5 minutes and it's already been over half an hour.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Yeah, this was a good live stream. And yeah, leave any sort of ideas for the next live streams
Yeah.
because we're just going to randomly come up with these. Sometimes we woke up this morning, we're like, let's just do a live stream. So maybe we'll get a little bit better at prepping.
Yeah.
And because we have free
thanks
time.
for joining us.
Yep. All righty, everybody.